That big dog. We'll save that one for rigging. A tasty little sucker minnow. So you want to know something funny? Drop shotting has exploded in popularity, which is awesome because it catches fish. The last few years for sure, but this summer I've never heard and seen of more people drop shotting. And then they all put it away when we get into fall because you think it's minnow season, right? Well, guess what? A drop shot with a little sucker minnow or a little redtail works just as well as casting a drop shot with a half of a night crawler for summertime walleyes. And hardly anybody does it. You don't have to put that thing away once water temps dip down and that bite kind of transitions from that summertime buggy crawler bite to fish focusing on shiners, perch, you know, when traditionally you're pitching jigs and minnows or rigging chubs. And it can just be a dynamite way to catch fish. I'm fishing anywhere you would look for fall walleyes, whether it's a deep hump surrounded by, you know, the basin, the deepest water in the lake, up on weed edges, steep breaks, edges of like a sand flat, anywhere that you're finding walleyes in the fall, it works and it catches them. And I do everything basically the same. The less you do, the better. Kind of like when I'm fishing a crawler, I'll do maybe little hops, but I'm just kind of letting that thing be fluid in the water. Live minnow hooked right through the snout. You're letting that thing swim around down there. And the cool thing, you get all the benefits of a drop shot where your bait is always perfectly off bottom. So I've got about an 18-inch leader here. I know that my minnow is always in the strike zone. It's always up off bottom and kicking. Put fresh bait on all the time. Just kind of like crawlers too. You don't have to use redtails or chubs. Those little cheap $3 per dozen sucker minnows work great on there. You just have to replace them more often. And also, if you're buying redtails or chubs for rigging fall walleyes, which almost everybody out here is doing today, a lot of the times if you get a dozen minnows, only 3 of them are those big ones that you want to rig. And you're like, great, what am I going to do with these tiny little redtails that are $1.25 or $1.50 a piece? Those things are dynamite on a drop shot because they never stop moving. They stay alive a long time. And with this, you can keep it right in front of a fish's face. It's kind of like when you tail hook chubs when you're rigging minnows. If you're squatting on a pot of fish or going really slow, you can vertical fish with the drop shot too if you're in deeper water. Obviously, it's a insane weapon if you have live scope or forward-facing sonar, because you're then being able to basically cast, instead of casting a Lindy rig with a 7-foot leader, you're able to cast at a specific fish, have that bait drop straight down in front of its face, and hold it there and let the minnow swim in place in front of that fish's face. But not everybody has live scope, forward-facing sonar. Not everybody wants it, and you don't need it to catch fish on the drop shot. Fishing it in places where you're pulling rigs and pitching jigs and stuff. But another way where it shines is, like, think about summertime. People driving around with a slip bobber and power corking, dropping that bait in the back of the boat. You're idling around, 2D sonar down over deep humps, looking for pods of fish. You see them and you throw that bobber back there, put the boat in neutral. You do it with jigging wraps too. Try it with the drop shot rig, and obviously it works all summer. We did it a ton with crawlers, but in the fall as well. You can idle around at 3-4 miles per hour, graph a pot of fish, boat in neutral, and just flip this bad boy back. Leave your bail open as the boat's slowing down. I'll usually put it in reverse just to kind of get us stalled out. Stop, hold it there for a few seconds, drag it. If you don't get bit, keep going. And it's such an efficient way with old school sonar to just cover water, bouncing around, looking for active fish, and plop a live minnow right in front of their snoot. And bonus points if you're taking somebody out who doesn't fish a whole lot, and even if you do, setting the hook with this does not get easier. You're not doing the thing with the chub where it's, do I wait 10 seconds? Do I wait 30? Do I wait a minute? And you're always contemplating, did I wait too long or do it too fast, and missing a lot of fish. With a little nose hooked 3-inch or so minnow, even if you don't feel the bite, all of a sudden it'll set the hook on itself and you can just reel it in. You don't have to do anything special. So my setup is identical to what I run in the summertime for my crawler setup. This one's an Elliott Identity drop shot rod. It's a 610 medium light, extra fast. The rod loads up really quick, so you can do those reeling hook sets and then bury them. And especially with that Finesse Neko hook, it just pins them by itself. But I'm running 6-pound Sufix Performance Braid, about an 8-foot fluorocarbon leader of 8-pound. Got that number 2 VMC Neko hook on there. Palomar knot with a long tag end. I'm typically using a 3/8 ounce VMC teardrop weight just because it's universal. But if you're gonna do this with bigger minnows, then you want to bump up that weight. But I prefer using these smaller little like 3-inch, sometimes 4-inch minnows, just because then you don't have to wait to set the hook on them. But it's the exact same setup you're using all summer long, except for you're fishing minnows in colder water and keeping that bait right in front of their face.